What up, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Friendship Princess, SoundCloud, SoundClick. It's your boy Tone 202 on this lovely Saturday. It's pretty chill out here. And it's another excerpt of The NBA is Fixed. And Joekim Noah, the center, big boy. He's got a $75 million contract. Jeez. No wonder why LeVar keeps asking for $1 billion for his son. He's saying $100 million a year, but that's not going to happen. But nonetheless, Joekim Noah, he just got suspended for using SARMs, which is an over-the-counter anabolic drug that it's banned by the NBA. But the reason why it's banned by the NBA is because it has similar effects to other drugs that have steroids in them. So it's pretty much doing the same thing. It's giving you an advantage. And I think it's the advantage is not making you tired, so you can go further. Of course, you can lift more, you can get stronger. You take that away, and then, you got some issue. And I think Sarapova was using that, the tennis player, blonde head. And she said she didn't know it was illegal. I could be wrong on that, but I know she just got in trouble for using drugs. And she said she didn't know it was illegal, but she has some kind of medical condition that she was using it for. But nonetheless, Joekim Noah, he's going to be out for 20 games. That's a lot of games. As a matter of fact, they compounded. His punishment is kind of compounded because you have his knee injury, and he's out so many games for that. So they're like, we're not even going to count those games because the games that he's out, he doesn't get paid for. So they're like, we're going to count the games that you're actually eligible for. So I think they're getting ready to play the Pacers, I think, or the Spurs, one or the other. They're going to play big games, some big games coming up. But they're going to, in the next year, he's not going to be eligible to play for it. 10 games. That's a lot of dough. It's like, he's able to rest. Now, that's a lot of money he's going to miss out. Now, I'm curious to, I'm always interested in their contracts, the clauses, and, because the clauses kind of help us understand the players and some of the stuff they do. Some of the risks that they take. And the reason why I say that is, I'm going to turn this music down. And the reason why I say that is because you have some players like, let's just take Allen Iverson. Remember Allen Iverson was, went out and spent all that money? It's like, him and Spreewell going out and buying rims and doing all kind of stuff. Next thing you know, he's reported to be broke. The thing about Allen Iverson is Allen Iverson was he did some smart business deals earlier in the year that with a friend, and a friend came and was like, hey, I had all that money. Boom, here you go. So he's not as broke as we thought. Nonetheless, but it helps us explain how they get their money, when they get their money, and when they don't. And when you see them getting fined like this, that, I'm trying to get a better understanding of where does that money go? Because contractually, if they're still under contract, you still owe them that money. But see, the clause comes in is if you're still playing and you run afoul, doing drugs or so on and so forth, like we take so many games from you, like, so it makes it seem like they are playing for each game they play, they get so much money. You see what I mean? It's not so much salary, it turns into hourly real quick, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of wondering about that. I'm gonna have to look into that and try to figure out who's it, Adam Silver, how they how the commissioner looks at that and how they get the money from the players. If the money still, if it's still allotted, but is it held? Is that money then? Uh, does it, like, where does it go to? You know what I'm saying? Does it go to a charity of your choice? Like, how does that work? Because it's like, okay, you owed a man $75 million over a certain amount of time. You know, you owe him so much each year. Now you owe him so much each game. Now he doesn't play those 20 games, so he doesn't get that amount because it says without pay. So it's like, okay, so you're paying him each game, but the cap is 75 million. It doesn't necessarily mean he gets that money. So you know what I'm saying? I'm just kind of looking at those contracts, but nonetheless, when I think they run afoul as far as drugs is concerned, you run afoul different ways. You run afoul drugs. You get into trouble on social media. Some things you can't say. If you use a racial slur, they fine you for that. You choke your coach. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. Or you do a plexical burst and go out and shoot yourself in the foot, literally, or in the leg. It's just certain things that I'm wondering how they fine you but still keep you on a roster, so on and so forth. As far as Plexicos was concerned, he didn't stay on the Giants roster. He ended up going to another team. But you guys know what I'm saying. So anyway, as far as Joakim Noah is concerned, I mean that's a lot to me, and I'm wondering why they suspended him for 20 games. See, the time is concerning to me now because how long does it take for SARMs to get out of your system? You know what I mean? So they're saying that this over the counter drug, that's another thing. I mean, it's an over the counter drug. You know what I'm saying? It's an over the, like anybody can walk into a GMC and use this. But now you want to ban it because it has metabolic similarities to something that does, that is a steroid, except it doesn't have the steroid side effects. I'm sorry, a little under weather. A little under weather. So it just makes me wonder what else is on that list. And as long as there's a consumer, there's going to be products that come out and mimic. I mean, you can get a generic anything. You can get a generic anything. Somebody out there, some scientist in the basement is making a generic whatever it is that's popular. You know, I don't care what it is. I don't care what kind of pill it is. I don't care what kind of medicine it is. There's like, for instance, Viagra. Viagra is $30 a pill. There is freaking Cialis. That knocked it down. Then there's freaking other stuff. Then you got you're just your, oh, okay, you go to the hospital and you need some Tylenol. That's $6 each pill for some Tylenol. Freaking aspirin is cheap as heck, and it has the same thing in it, acetylsalic acid. It's aspirin. It's made from the asp plant, I think. So it's just like there's always a knockoff somewhere that does the same doggone thing. It does the same thing. Just read the back of the package. Oh, this does the same thing. You know. So I hate to just sound like I'm rambling on, but the validity to my questions is, how are you gonna stop it? Like, we know sports is a lot faster, a lot more dangerous. People are a lot more heavily muscled. They can run faster. They can, you know what I'm saying? They're bigger, they're stronger, and we know that isn't natural. You know what I'm saying? This is also the cause of a lot of their ailments, once they get out of the sport and stop taking that. But we know that, people, they hit harder, they jump further and run faster and all that. And we know for a simple fact that that's because of some kind of PEDs. There's some type of medical explanation for like there's certain bursts of speed or a certain strength. Look at baseball a couple of years ago, where they had those guys who were Mark McGwire and those guys who were knocking it out the park, and Sosa and all those guys. And turned out that All of them were on drugs. Every single one of them. And when one got caught, a bunch of other Barry Bonds and a bunch of other ones got caught. It just went on down the hill, and boom, boom, boom. You too, and then they recognize it. Then they ban whatever drug that is. But it doesn't mean that baseball players aren't still taking some type of generic similarity of that drug. So my question is to you, Silver. Like, what are you gonna do? I mean, you can fine that man 20 games. That's millions of dollars. The rest of the NBA is gonna look at that and they're gonna go, okay, he got he got caught. How you doing? They're gonna go, he got caught. Nonetheless, some doctor somewhere, some like Tiger Woods doctor, that dude, that dude is looking at Joakim Noah's story right now. He's going, oh yeah, well I can make SARMs with two S's at the end, and it won't even be traceable to to whatever they're testing now, because where where there's a will, where there's a way. Wherever there's a law, there's a way to break that law. You know what I'm saying? Wherever there's a cop, there's a criminal. And that's pretty much that's what I'm saying. How you gonna stop that? And then the question is, like, how many other Joakim Noahs out there? And then when you do catch these guys, you find, like, I think it's all a game now. It's just like, you know what, we feel like finding you today. I really do, because listen, if the game, if you took away all the drug enhancements, all the vitamins, sorry, I'm under the weather. Excuse me. If you took away all the drug enhancements, all the PEDs, all the SARMs, everything that you think that's giving somebody an edge, do you think the game would be as exciting? Would there still be as many dunks and all that other stuff you guys holler about? 3-point shots. What that dude Butler do? He just scored 70 points. Guy played for the Suns, played against Boston, and I think Boston still won, but nonetheless, Butler scored 70 points. You know what I'm saying? Do you think, like, because that's what draws the people in. That's what they want to see. Listen, even Merriweather had to admit that some of his fights are boring. That's why people don't want to watch him anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like, is the game gonna get boring? That's the whole question, Adam Silver. And then your ratings drop. Because if the game's boring, nobody wants to watch. I don't want to see a Merriweather fight. I don't really care if Merriweather beats up Conor McGregor. His fights are boring. At least Conor McGregor's fights aren't boring. But the point is, when you take away those edges, when you take away that athleticism, and you try to make everything even, you are going to strip some excitement out of the game. Some of what everybody wants to see. And when you do that, you're gonna pay. You're gonna pay for that. You're gonna pay. You're going to pay for that. Ratings are going to go down. Uh, People aren't going to buy as many jerseys. People aren't going to fill as many seats. You're going to be like the freaking Cardinals back when Jake the Snake Plumber was playing back in '05. You know, in between 2002 and '05 when the Snake was playing, and you know, before Pat Tillman lost his life. You're going to be like those guys before the Snake and before Tillman got up there and then start filling seats. And then, of course, one of the best receivers in the game went to Fitzgerald, went to them. And now, they got Honey Badger and, so on and so forth. They can fill seats easily because they're a great team. But you guys get the point. So, I don't know. I'm just talking. You guys can answer some of those questions about the contracts because I don't know. But that's just my take on it. I think it's all still a part of the game because they can't literally take away all of those drugs. I think they know that those drugs are out there. But I think they just wait and just snatch somebody. It's kind of like, you just want to pick on somebody today. That's just what I think about it. It's your boy Tone 202. Peace.